Again, we are 100 Years Enterprise. Happy Saturday. As we leaving season 3, episode 10. My name is Fahim.
I'm Dante.
I'm Patrick.
Again, we have another guest, beautiful guest, who's going to offer some insight, some understanding, views about the consequences of the street life. And Dante.
Yes, sir. So, we got Miss Yolanda today. We most definitely welcome you to the podcast. So, Miss Yolanda, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I want to say thank you to you brothers for inviting me. This is a privilege, a pleasure. This is something big today, and I do appreciate the invite. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. So, Miss Yolanda, the topic today is consequences of the street life, right? So, but before we get into that topic, tell us a little bit about who you are and what some of the work that you have done in the community and some of the work that you're still doing in the community.
Well, my name is Yolanda Stokes, born and raised in Richmond, California. Excuse me. AKA Yanni. Everybody knows me as Yanni. I have been doing community activist work before I even knew I was doing it. I am currently connected with ONS, so
Congratulations.
that's a great thing.
Congratulations.
So to do more work of this magnitude, I appreciate what you brothers are doing. We need more of it. And, for the most of it, that's what I do. I am a community leader, have always been, will continue, and out there to help the youth, to give back.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So, the consequence of the street life, right? That's our topic today, which the consequence of the street life, I'm quite sure it affected a lot of people, even us that sit in this room today. So can you give us something real brief about how the consequence of the street life may have affected you growing up that you probably wouldn't have seen, growing up? Because we don't think about things as far as the consequence of the street life, things as far as our actions, what it's going to lead to, what it's going to cause, growing up. We don't look at the things, we don't see these things. So can you explain to us if any of the consequences of the street life affect you in any kind of way? Explain that to us.
Well, the consequences of the street life of Richmond, California had a profound effect on my life in various ways. For myself, you and LaJohn, we share something very personal together. So again, to be here, this is just an amazing time because I couldn't believe that this day would ever happen as well. Yeah. A lot of you brothers talk about coming home and being in a penitentiary. So a lot of people may know and may not know what you were in there for. And it had a profound effect on my life and how it altered my life when that incident happened. So, just being someone that could say, hey, I'm in this place today with the people that did affect my life the most at this age, in this time in my life of growing up and in my youth. I guess when you say, how did it affect me? Well, first of all, when as far as negativity goes, I think I realized that being a product of our environment, you don't really know it's negative. You don't really understand that for what it is. You grow up and you start to understand those things when you become an adult. Yes. But in your childhood and your youth, you don't see that as negative. This is normal, is what it is. There were so many things that happened in Richmond, California. And I think what we have a tendency to overlook mostly is the effect that it had on the females that came up in this place. So, to be here and sitting with the both of you means everything to me. Because, again, when I say that altered my life. But when those things happened in my life, did it change it? No. Because, again, we became accustomed to this is what it is. So there were more of those things happening we were dealing with this, you know. Yes, our young men, our young boys were going to jail and going to prisons. And what happened to the young ladies? You know, we have various sisters that's gone.
Yes.
Shelly from the South Side, Latrice from the South Side, you know, Sheila from Fifth Street. So we have a tendency to forget about that so many of these things were happening. You know, we have some sisters that are here today that have been through these things as well, and they survived. But again, you know, we were in just as much of a prison as you all have been in.
Yeah. We talk about men, women, product of our environment, incidents, tragedies, what we all are connected to. And when we ask the question, and what happened to the women?
Right.
Were many of the women connected to the streets just like the men were, and doing basically like some of the same things like the men were, like involved, entrenched with it?
Yes, definitely. I could say for myself, you know, I did a lot of the things that the men were doing.
Right.
You know, I was riding motorcycles, doing other stuff, selling drugs, whatever it was, I did. And I'm just being honest about it.
Right.
Because, you know, unfortunately, the life we live, again, I say it was normal for us. So it was, let's hustle. Let's have this. Let's get that. You know, a lot of us were in sports. But we got reeled in by that glitter, that sparkle of, we could have this now. Why do we have to wait on it? You know, we gave up, a lot of us gave up what we had and what we loved as children, you know, of whatever it may have been. I ran track. I was great. I could have won.
Half steppers?
No, I was with, I ran for Richmond High School.
Oh, okay.
But again, that was in my early years, so I fell off so early in life that it never did anything. But I could have ran for this country, brought home medals. You know, it shows in my children right now. They break records. They, you know, because I was athletically inclined that way, like a lot of people were, and had other skills, not just athletically, you know, but we were so busy being fast, wanted to be out there with the boys, you know, doing what they were doing, being involved with what they were involved in. And so, you know, we weren't absent, you know, and we weren't innocent either. So, you know, at any time, any of our lives could have been gone like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so beautifully told too and spoken. My question to you will be in regards to the ripple effect of a thing, right? Because you made a statement about the impact of, you know, your childhood and the trauma of that, the consequences of street life, right? So what was the ripple effect? And I, for example, what was the impact of when the act happened and the consequences of street life that led you to go left instead of right? What led you, the ripple effect of that? What made you say, okay, I'm gonna jump in the street life and join whatever's going on and walk away from doing track or what have you?
I think that in some cases it was the lack of support. Having very young parents. I came from parents that my mother was 12 and my father was 13. So, you know, I was growing up with them. They were like brother and sisters to me more than parents. So, and then my grandmother was at home making sure the home was good. You know, but I had a great childhood. Right. I'm not going to say that it was terrible. I wasn't, you know, a lot of people have different stories. Well, mine was a great story, especially to come from the hood. You know, I came from St. John's Apartments. Well, I grew up in St. John's Apartments. And that's where we had a real village at that time. So a lot of the kids that were there had multiple hands on them. So whether there was fathers in the home or not, there was fathers in that hood. So they still had a grip on all of us. And to this day, all of us are very close because of that reason. So we had that, you know. But to say I decided to go one direction and another, yeah, it was pretty much probably the lack of support. And then, you know, you really don't know. You don't want to be left out. I think when you're growing up and you're young, you see all of these things happening. You want to be involved. Yeah. You know, and especially, you know, if you kind of popular, you want to get out there. You don't want to miss the parties. You
Exactly.
want to be in. You know, so it became less important. You know, and especially when you think about, oh, well, I'm doing these sports, you start forgetting that you love the sport, and you start thinking about, well, for me to do the sport, I really want to get paid. Now it done turned into money for you. It's not even about the sport anymore. It's like, well, I don't even have to do that, and I can go get money.
Right.
So that's how that kind of, you know, veered off in that direction.
Okay. I
So
appreciate that.
so what I'm hearing, the consequence of the street life was bittersweet to a degree, would you say?
Oh, definitely. I could say, I guess the losses are real. The pain is real. It doesn't disappear. It don't go away. But what I realized, you know, becoming an adult, the more you grow and you mature and you evolve, had it not been for some of the things that happened, which I wish that we could go back and erase a whole lot of that and start over. But we wouldn't be here this day doing what we're doing
Right. Absolutely.
if it wasn't for the bittersweet part of it. Now, the bitter part is bitter. It's going to always be that way. There's nothing you can do to change that. The past is perfect. It's done. You know,
That is
so we
perfect.
have to, so we have to move forward and keep pushing forward to say, hey, you know what? The mistakes that was made out there and the ones that's still being made and these decisions that's being made from these young people, we're a part of that. This is our mess. And this is our job to help clean it up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Great response. Being a community activist, being someone of service, how is being an activist, community activist today, 30-some years later, affecting the community in a positive way? What are you actually doing to show these kids so they can hear? They can say, hey, I want to connect with this young lady because she's doing some things out here. So the viewers can say, okay, Yolanda doing some things in the community, and we might want to connect with her because we need some guidance from a woman. There's many women out there doing things, but you might just one.
Right. Well, I do multiple things. I'm a person that believes in not throwing away our wisdom. So I take care of the elderly. I definitely step in for the youth. I am a part of a program that's ran in San Quentin, so I still deal with the brothers that's incarcerated as well. The main thing for me is this. And again, I just spoke on that I'll be joining with ONS, the team, the family.
Oh, so you will be. I thought you was already. Oh, you
Well,
will
I
be
am.
there.
I
Okay.
am. Well, officially, it'll be next month,
Operation.
But
You talking about Operation Neighborhood Safety?
yes, sir.
Okay.
And so being blessed for that to happen for my life and to join in with some people that I know saved a lot of lives, because of their work. And, in spite of a lot of things and what people may think about Richmond and organizations and so on and so forth, we all have good intentions. Mm-hmm. It's just sometimes it's hard to put those connections together. And unfortunately, that's been probably a little bit of the upside down part of, I'm not going to say that we haven't reached any of them. I think we probably could have reached more,
Absolutely.
if we were more in sync with one another.
I agree.
And so, I think I believe my duty is definitely to step in with these young ladies.
That's great.
Because I personally feel that if you expect more and you require more, then these young men will fall in line as well. We're Mother Earth. They need us. We carry your seeds. We bring life. But until we respect ourselves and put ourselves where we need to be, we hear the word queen all the time. Why do we hear that so much? Because it's just a word like everything else now.
Buzzword.
Because, if you think about it, if a queen does not know her place, then she couldn't possibly be a queen. And I'm still to this day wanting to hear, I'm going to put that together one day because I want to hear the interpretation from a lot of women. I want a lot of queens to sit around me and tell me what it is to be a queen. I have my own. I'll share that one day. But if you don't know your rightful place as one, then you can't possibly go teach another one how to be one. So, for me, my job is to reach my young sisters because they're the most damaged. Because what we do have a tendency to do is forget about how much trauma they have been through.
Many.
And when we say, our brothers are out here, they're killing each other, they doing these, they all over the place. We need to help our brothers. We got to get them. We got to hold on to them. And that's true. And we got to bring them back. But without the sisters, without the mother, without the nurturing, it's still going to be this component that's missing. So I look at it and say, hey, what about that girl that's suffering from PTSD? Because all we know is the boys that have been out there doing everything, and they with the rah-rah, they with the business, whatever. What about the young ladies? But the young ladies, what happens with them is that they're forgotten. They're going through just as much trauma as any man, because we're right there side by side with you men at a very young age. Yeah. We're the ones sitting right there in those funerals right in that front pew. So it's either your daddy, your brother, your uncle, your cousin. It's somebody that you know and that you feel. And guess what? And it might be your baby daddy. You a young child with a seed in your stomach. In your womb, what are you doing at that point when that poison is coming out of you at that time?
Question.
That's deep.
That's a deep question. Because hearing you talk is making me come. I'm rationally deducing a question for you, right? Because I want to stay on point. Because the point is consequences of street life, which you eloquently speaking on, and I'm trying to get into the phase of looking at it from a woman's perspective. And my point is to you is that because I got nieces, cousins, and stuff like that, that's females, yes, right? And Richmond and beyond, right? What will be, because a lot of times, right, and the burden is placed on the man, I should say young men, right, that, the women are attracted to the glam, glitter, and the image of what they think a man is, whether it be tough, jewelry, cute, whatever it is about that guy or guys that draws women to him. What would you tell the young sisters that's coming up in the communities, particularly Richmond? What would you tell them in regards to the body of work that you're doing to help them steer them away from making early death decisions? Well,
first of all, I have to be an example. That's first of all. You step in and you tell them, first of all, you have to value yourself. But again, you have to embrace them because the damage is so far done. If we don't get to the root of the problem, we can't fix what's on the surface of it. So saying that is saying, let me talk to this sister because the trauma that she's already dealt with and dealing with, because it just passes down from one generation to the next. Because if you see your mother going into them prisons, your mother is burying her brothers and your fathers and everybody, so what you do is just like it's passed down to you. You naturally start doing it. Yeah. My own daughter, it's a cycle. My own daughter have watched me go through it. Then she watching her brothers go through it. And then I have to break that now because I see the effects that it's having on her when mom is saying, you know what? They're going to have to learn. I got to back off because I need enforcement. I need help. So what happens to her? Those my brothers. I can't let them fall because that's what she saw from mama. I got my brothers by any means necessary. So guess what happens with that? The trauma is beaten and beaten. So what you men go through and you're in prison, guess what? We going through it and some. Because we got to be there for that brother behind the wall. We got to be there for these kids that's still home. We got to be there for our communities and still fighting. So that burden is so heavy. Our sisters are carrying some things that we need help carrying now. And I'm so thankful that you brothers are coming home because we need you. Because you've went through that storm. Now you can be that voice. And you can be not only just me, but what a woman wants to hear is what do you require from her? That young sister want to hear probably from y'all almost more than she wants to hear from me.
We give it to them.
And you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Because guess how many fathers are missing out of their lives? Where are the men?
a lot.
And then the examples that's there, what are they? It's tacky. It's, and it ain't to put nobody down. But come on, it's a time and place for everything. If a woman requires you to pull your pants up, well, if you want to be with that woman, you want to kick with her, you like her, you're going to pull them up. So this is what we have to do with our sisters. Back to what you were saying. Empower them enough to say, hey, no, we're not having that no more. But we also got to heal them first. All of that in the process of that. Because you can tell them all day.
Absolutely.
I got a question. So, I want to address this. Again, the consequence of the street life, right? This is our topic, right? So, me going to prison, I committed an act, right, that caused pain. And Yolanda, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the pain that I caused the community, the pain that I caused family members, right, which you one of them.
Yes.
So this what makes this podcast very special, right? Because I want to hear from you. We all want to hear from you, as well as the people that's going to be seeing this podcast. How do you feel, and how did you feel when I, as well as the brother Fahim, committed an act that caused pain in your life, as well as the community? Because if you don't mind me saying this, you could have been in that truck, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The way it affected me, to be very honest, I would be real and say, I wish y'all was dead instead of him, instead of them. And who else was hurt? I have a sister that's alive to this day that, maybe kind of unbalanced about what we're doing here. A lot of people are. A lot of people are going to feel all different ways about it. That was one of the turning points of my life. And so I thought, what I wanted to know was it hate? Were you monsters? What, but this grown part of me, this adult person in me, and the more that I grew in my community and seeing these things happen, you weren't the first, but, well, it was one of the first in my personal world. And you aren't going to be the last. So I had to put myself back in a time of thinking, who was I at 17? Who were you at 17? Who were we? We were stupid kids that became a product of our environment. We didn't know how to deal with things in a way that we should have been taught to deal with things. And I said to myself, growing up, learning things, dealing with different religions and, understanding things in my own life led me to say, I want to know who they are now. Because now you're grown men. And I think it's not to make any excuses for what anybody did, but people don't realize that when these things happen, you are just as much of a victim. And unfortunately, a lot of people may not look at it that way, but it's just the truth. It's who we were at that time. It could have went any direction at any time. And so, again, it had a profound effect. And when I started to grow and develop and understand things more, I had this yearning to know. I didn't want to ever be in a place where I felt like I don't know, I need to know, I don't know what they think, and they might not know what I'm thinking. Because this is how we have to start breaking these barriers of saying, you know what, I'm willing to just listen if somebody wants to tell me. Because that's what I need. I need that to heal. I need that for closure. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. A lot of people don't know how. Did I know how? No. But I said I'm going to walk right into it because this is who I've always been. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be what it's going to be. But we got to get this here. We got to get this out. Because I needed it.
Question. So when you're dealing with trauma, disassociation of feelings and emotions, meaning kids, teenagers don't connect those things. And then you have time goes by, and you're able to put those feelings and emotions and rationalize them to understanding, to be sitting in this place now from a horrible act that was committed years ago. And you said you needed to understand these men who you wanted to die. Then, how do you feel today?
Well, this is...
When you connect your feelings.
Well, you know, being as though I had the opportunity to, you know, I knew you growing up. I didn't know you personally, either one of you, just like real personal, that we ever just really kicked it or anything. But just knowing that we all grew up in this neighborhood, to see the change, to know the change has happened, to see the remorse, to understand that. The brother Dante opened up a lot. This is not something that happened overnight, so I would love for people to know and understand that this was 3 years of us going through pain, the tears, the questions, the very uncomfortable questions that he was willing to be very open about. And, now I'm saying, why would I want somebody else to die? Because that's not who I am anyway. But in that age, when you're in that time of your life, this is who I loved the most. So in that moment of, I wish it was you instead of them, guess what? It could have been anybody. I could have been there. I didn't have to be here to this day, but I am. And I look at it that it's a reason for it. And the pain is there. My cousin is still here. Felicia is here, So I know what it took in her life. And I know that emotionally and physically, the scars that she has and the pain that she has. For me, it's, you could say almost the same, except the physical scars weren't there. But as long as she's wearing them, I was wearing them with her. So this is what I share together, because everybody is not able to do what I'm doing.
Right. It takes courage.
Yeah, and I mean, and for me, again, Allah put something inside of me that's different. That I was able to do what I'm doing because the healing has to go deeper than just Richmond, California.
Most definitely.
We have to open up a door and a platform for the people that don't know how to do this, that do want closure, but want to feel safe if you're getting that closure. Because sometimes all you want to hear is a person just saying, I'm sorry. But sometimes we don't get to that because people are doing whatever they're doing in life, and people have this, interpretation that your life is good, you did your time, you're not thinking about it, this and that. But no, you're going to always carry those scars. It never goes away. But if we can do something to help others, to say, here I am, let's heal together. We don't have to sit together. We don't have to be friends and go to parties together, but it's saying that we're at least giving one another what we need to move forward, because sometimes when you put a person in the ground, they're still not buried deep enough.
Powerful.
Never.
I just want to say real quick before we wrap up, we appreciate you coming on our show and sharing that, and we need more of that community healing. Yes. Because, like I always say, ain't no Dr. Phil gonna come in our neighborhood. That's right. So we got enough education and love for God to bring whatever differences that we have together and solve whatever problems that we have. Yes. Our problem is what we have. The problem is what somebody in Hollywood have. It's what we have, and we really the ones to solve them. So I just want to say it took courage, and truly, truly, deeply humbled by the story. And again, for those who's listening, and we 100 years. Dante closes out where they can reach us. Subscribe.
Subscribe. First of all, I just want to say thank you, Yolanda, sharing some of your story. We truly appreciate that, because the people do need to hear that, because it's not just one-sided, It's not one-sided. It's a two sides to everything. And for you to come out and share, your experience and what I've done to you, truly had the courage, Thank you. Once again.
I appreciate that.
And I want to say, again, we talk, but sorry, again, you, your family, your loved ones.
Thank you.
Allah, highly and powerful is He. He don't make any mistakes, right?
Yes.
Today is a beautiful month of Ramadan, the day of purging.
Yes.
And I think when we go on our first 10 days of forgiveness, right, it's beautiful to be in this space right now. Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
100 Years Enterprise. We want to thank Miss Yolanda. I guess this is a very good episode, so please tune in. You can find us at 100 Years Enterprise on our YouTube channel. Go to our Instagram, 100 Years DLP. And where else can we find us at?
YouTube, 100
YouTube.
Years Enterprise. We have a Facebook page coming real soon. I know I've been saying it for the last 10 episodes, but it's coming. We wrapping it up, the consequences of the street life. And we out.
Subscribe, like, and share.